Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for today's yoga. Today is going to be an upper body focus, so we're working on building strength and stretching and opening into the chest and the upper back, but we're also doing a little bit of core work. I don't plan on using any props today, but if you like to use blocks or straps, just have them to hand. I think this is a practice for all levels. I will add some modifications in, but just take it to a level that feels good for you. And if you're working with any injuries, if anything doesn't feel good in the body, just back out of it. So we're going to start today in a comfortable seated position. I'm going to sit cross-legged, but you could always sit on your heels. We're just going to rest our hands on our knees or in our lap. Let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Find length in the spine so you're lifting up out of the waist. Maybe closing the eyes and lowering the gaze. We're just going to take a moment here to settle on the mat and center ourselves for our practice today. So starting to quiet the mind, letting go of any thoughts, not paying any attention to what's happening outside of the room, and starting to bring the focus inwards, checking in with the body, checking how it's feeling, noticing if you're holding any areas of tension, and bringing our awareness to our breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Trying to match the length of our inhales and exhales. And trying to maintain our rhythm of breath from the start of the practice to the end of the practice. Bringing your hands onto your knees if you don't already. We'll move through some seated cat-cow. So on an inhale, we're going to bring our chest forward, arching through the spine, drawing our shoulder blades together. On an exhale, we're going to round through the spine, taking our chin towards our chest. Inhaling to lift, chest comes forward. Exhaling as we round. 2 more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to round, chin to chest. And final time, inhaling as we lift. And exhaling to rounds. And then coming back through to center, we're going to cactus the arms. So we're going to bring our elbows in line with the shoulders, with our palms facing forward. We're going to bring our forearms together in front of us, and we're going to take our right elbow underneath the left elbow, setting ourselves up for eagle arms. So you might bring the backs of the hands together. Maybe you combine twice and bring the palms of the hands together. If that isn't available for you, you can just hold on to the shoulders. If you are in eagle arms, you might want to take your hands slightly away from the face. And everybody, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders. Maybe taking your chin slightly down towards the chest. Feeling that nice opening into the upper back. And then releasing, coming back into our cactus arms. We'll go the opposite side, so this time bringing forearms together and the left elbow comes underneath the right elbow. Bind once, bind twice, or hold on to opposite elbows. Drop those shoulders, lift the elbow slightly, maybe taking your hands slightly away from the face if you're in eagle arms. And then exhaling and release back into our cactus arms, and we'll come into our tabletop pose. So we want our wrists underneath the shoulders and our knees underneath the hips with a nice flat back. We're going to bring our right leg out behind us at hip height. On an exhale, we're going to bring our nose in towards our knee, drawing our belly in towards the spine. Inhale to take that leg out long. Exhaling nose to knee. Inhaling to take that leg out straight. Exhaling nose to knee. Inhaling to lengthen. Exhaling to round, and then lowering that knee back down. We'll go the opposite side, so taking our left leg out behind us. On an exhale, nose to knee, rounding through the spine. Inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to round. Inhaling to push that heel away. Exhaling to round. Inhaling and exhaling, and then lowering that knee back down. We're going to tuck the toes, and on an inhale, we're going to lift our heels about 1 inch or 2 off the mat and just hold here. Engage that core. Building some strength in the arms here. Keeping our gaze down towards the mat, neck is long. If you need to lower the knees back down and come back into it, you're welcome to, but we'll hold for the count of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lower those knees down. We're going to come to standing on our knees, so you can come onto the tops of the feet, or you can keep your toes tucked if you want to. Bringing our arms out in front of us, palms facing in towards each other. We're going to draw some circles with the arms, just opening up into the shoulders and upper back. So taking our right arm first, we're going to lift it up towards the ceiling. We're going to turn our palm away from us, just drawing a big circle. We'll do 3 more of these. Trying to keep our hips facing forward, and then bringing that right arm back. We'll go the left side, so taking that left arm up towards the ceiling, turning that palm away from you and just drawing that circle. And one final time, and then coming back through to face forward. We're going to bring our hands down onto the mat and bring our feet to the back of the mat, making our way into Plaque Pose. So you can lift the knees if you want to, toes are tucked, or you can keep your knees down on the mat if you prefer. The core is tight. On an exhale, we're going to bend at the elbows, lower all the way down to the mat, and tucking those toes when we get there. We're keeping our hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to work on building some back strength. So on an inhale, we're going to come into a baby cobra. So lifting the head, chest and hands. You probably won't be able to come up very far. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling as we lift. Exhaling to lower. Final time, inhaling to lift. Exhaling as we lower. And then keeping our hands on the mat. On an inhale, we'll lift into Cobra. So lifting the chest, keeping a bend in the elbows and they're in towards the ribs, and our shoulders are down away from the ears. Feeling that nice lengthening down the front of the body. Exhaling to lower. We'll push ourselves back to a child's pose. And then we'll make our way into a downward facing dog. So tuck those toes, feet are about hip width distance apart. Exhale and send that tailbone high. Pressing down evenly through the fingertips and knuckles of the hands. Fingertips are spread wide. You might want to pedal out the feet in your first down dog. Lengthening down the backs of the legs here. We're looking for a nice flat back. So it's better to have bent legs than a rounded back. And then coming into some stillness with the legs. On an inhale, we'll send our right foot up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, we'll bring the knee to nose coming into cheetah pose. Weight comes over the wrists. Inhale to come into our 3-legged dog. Exhaling, knee to nose, cheetah pose, drawing that belly in towards the spine. Inhaling, 3-legged dog. Exhaling, coming into our cheetah pose. This time, hold it here. We're going to step the right foot in between the hands. You might need to move your right hand out of the way, or even use your right hand to help get your right foot in between the hands. We're going to lower our back knee down, making our way into our low lunge. Right knee is directly over the ankle. You can have the back toes tucked or come down onto the top of the feet. Pad that knee if you're working on a hard floor. Inhaling to lift the chest, reaching those arms up towards the ceiling. So squaring everything off to the front of the mat. So pull the right hip back, the left hip forward. So we're squaring off the hips and making sure our shoulders are facing forward. We're going to bend into our right elbow and bring the palm of the hand onto the upper back. We're coming into cow face arms. So we can bring our left arm behind us, maybe catching a hold of the right fingers with your left fingers. You can use a strap if you can't quite reach the fingertips, or you can hold onto this right elbow with your left hand. Keep the chest open. We're looking for a nice stretch down the back of the right arm. Maybe sinking those hips a little bit deeper. Getting a nice stretch down the front of the left thigh. On an exhale, we'll release those hands down, frame the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, we'll come into our downward facing dog. So we'll do that on the opposite side. On an inhale, we're going to send our left foot up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, knee to nose coming into cheetah pose, weight comes over the wrists. Inhaling, sending that left leg up. Exhaling, knee to nose, cheetah pose. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, knee to nose, cheetah pose. This time we're going to step the left foot in between the hands, lower that back knee down, setting ourselves up for our low lunge. Pad the back knee if you need to. Left knee is directly over the ankle. On an inhale, lifting the arms, lifting the chest. This time taking cow face on the left, so we're going to bend into the left elbow, bringing the palm of the hand onto the upper back. Maybe use a strap here, maybe you reach the right arm behind you and catch a hold of those fingers with the left fingertips. Maybe you're holding on to the left elbow with the right hand. Wherever you are, sink those hips, chest is lifted, feeling that nice stretch down the back of the left arm. Exhaling, we're going to release from here, bring the hands down to frame the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, coming into our downward facing dog. From here we're going to ripple forward into our plank pose and we'll move through our first vinyasa. Exhaling to lower, bend at the elbows. Inhaling, coming into Cobra. Exhaling to lower the chest, coming into our downward facing dog. From here we're going to lift the right foot up towards the ceiling, back in our three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose, step in that right foot in between the hands. This time we're coming into high lunge, so make sure you're not on a tight rope. Have your feet about hip width distance apart. Right knee is directly over the right ankle. When you feel steady, lift the chest, lift the arms. Feeling that nice stretch down the front of that left thigh. You might want to bend that back knee if you prefer. Squaring everything off to the front of the mat. We're going to come into our cactus arms like we did at the start of practice with our palms facing forward. This might be enough for you, just drawing those shoulder blades back, feeling that stretch across the chest. If anyone wants to take the gaze and chest up towards the ceiling, taking a little bit of a back bend. If you're feeling balanced, go ahead and do that. On our next inhale, lifting the chest, reaching those arms up towards the ceiling. We'll open out into our warrior two. So we're turning our hips to the side of the mat. Back foot is now parallel with the back of the mat. Arms out shoulder height. Shoulders are stacked directly over the hips. Right thigh and knee rolling open. Pressing down evenly through both feet. And our gaze is over the middle finger, roughly of the right hand. And we'll work into our core, so we're going to bend at the elbows. We're going to turn our gaze, so our gaze is to the front, and we're going to bring our fingertips to the sides of the head. We're going to work into the core and the obliques. So on an exhale, we're going to dive down towards that bent leg. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. Core is strong here. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling as we lower. Inhaling to lift. One final time. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling to lift. Open those arms back out, warrior two. And then bringing our hands behind the lower back, interlacing the fingers. Feeling that stretch across the chest, drawing the shoulder blades together. On an exhale, we're going to come into a variation of the humble warrior. So we're going to dive down to the inside of the right leg. Letting that crown of the head hang down towards the mat, pressing down evenly through both feet. Option, you can take those knuckles off the lower back and sending them up towards the ceiling. Noticing how this feels in the shoulders. Try not to let those shoulders hunch down towards the ears. Draw them away from the ears. And then lowering those hands back down onto the lower back. Press down through both feet. Inhale, lift the chest, open the arms out. Warrior two. On our next exhale, we're going to cartwheel this back hand up and over, frame the front foot, step back to plank pose. We're not quite finished yet. Making sure right wrist is directly under the right shoulder. We're going to turn to the edge of the right foot, coming into our side plank, sinking our left hand up towards the ceiling. Option here, you can have one foot stacked on top of the other, one foot in front of the other, or lowering that bottom knee down, coming into supported side plank. So choose your side plank, maybe taking your gaze up to the top hand if it's okay for your neck. Working on the obliques here, lift those hips and make sure those hips are pointing to the long edge of the mat so we're not rolling open. We're not here for long. On our next exhale, lower the left hand down, come into plank pose. We'll move through a vinyasa, exhaling to lower. Inhaling Cobra. Exhaling as we lower, downward facing dog. We'll do that sequence on the left. Inhale, send that left foot up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, bring that knee towards the nose, step the left foot in between the hands. Setting ourselves up for high lunge, left knees directly over the ankle. When you feel balanced, lift the chest, lift the arms up overhead. Squaring off everything to the front of the mat. And then taking a bend into the elbows, coming into our Cactus Arms. Maybe taking your gaze and chest up towards the ceiling if you want to work a bit on opening more into the chest, a bit of a back bend. Only do that if you feel balanced. I feel a little bit wobbly on my left side, so I'm going to skip it. On your next inhale, lift the chest back up, reach the arms up overhead. We're going to open out into our warrior two. So we're going to turn our hips to the long edge of the mat. Back foot is now parallel with the back of the mat, arms out shoulder height. Stacking those shoulders over the hips. Deep bend into that left thigh. And then turning our gaze to face the long edge of the mat. We're going to take a bend in the elbows. Fingertips come to the side of the head. On an exhale, we're going to do the core work. So exhaling, dive down towards that left knee. Inhaling to lift the chest. Exhaling, side bend. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling as we lift. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling to lift. Open back out, warrior two. And then bringing our hands behind the lower back, interlacing the fingers. The other little finger is on top this time. Opening up into the chest, drawing those shoulder blades together. On an exhale, we do our variation of humble warrior. So diving down to the inside of the left thigh, letting that crown of the head hang heavy, maybe taking those knuckles off the lower back. Making sure that left hip hasn't popped out. Try and tuck that left hip in. If you've got your knuckles lifted, lower them back down onto the lower back. Inhaling, lift the chest, open out, warrior two. On our next exhale, cartwheel this backhand up and over, frame this front foot, take that left foot back, setting ourselves up for side plank, making sure left wrist is directly under the left shoulder, rolling to the outside edge of the left hand, taking our right arm up towards the ceiling. So option to do supported side plank, one foot in front of the other, or stacking the feet. Lift those hips. Maybe taking your gaze up to this top hand if it's okay for your neck. Building strength in the upper arms here and into the shoulders. On an exhale, lower the right hand down. We're in our plank pose, moving through a vinyasa. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling, Cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to lower down onto our elbows and forearms, coming into Dolphin. So making sure our wrists and elbows are in a line. Starting to walk the feet in, taking the tailbone high. Keep a bend in those knees if you need to. If it feels better for your hamstrings, your heels probably won't be touching the mat. Your crown of the head shouldn't be touching the mat. If it feels better, you can interlace the fingers into a tripod instead. We're taking our weight into the upper back, into the shoulders. Same as down dog, we're finding length in the spine here. On our next exhale, we're going to lower those knees down. We're going to bring our feet off to one side, bringing our legs out long. We'll come into a seated forward fold. That's all our vinyasa style stuff done. So push into the heels, bring those toes back towards you. Keep a slight bend in those knees if you need to. Reaching those arms up overhead, lift out of the waist, exhale and hinge from the hips, forward fold. So you will bring your hands around the soles of the feet. You might want to take peace fingers around the toes. You may want to just hold on to the shins. Just relax in here. Your chest doesn't have to touch the thighs. We're reaching that crown of the head towards the toes. Feeling that nice Lengthening all the way down the back of the body, the lower back. On an inhale, we'll release and lift the chest. We're going to take a bend into the knees and bring our soles of the feet on the mat. We're going to bring our palms of the hands onto the mat just behind the sitting bones. Our fingertips can face forward, or if you prefer, your fingertips can face away from you. We're going to move into reverse tabletop. If you want to do reverse plank, you're welcome to do that. On an inhale, we're going to push through the feet and the hands, lift those hips. If you've got really tight shoulders, this can be quite uncomfortable. If it feels okay for your neck, you can drop your gaze back or just keep your gaze forward. Engaging those glutes and hamstrings here to keep the hips lifted. Exhaling, we'll lower down. Just releasing here. You maybe want to hold on around the shins for a moment. And then bringing our hands back behind us. Your choice, fingertips pointing towards you or away. We'll move into that pose one more time. Inhaling, lift the hips. Reverse tabletop or reverse plank if you prefer. Maybe lifting those hips a little bit higher second time around. And exhaling, lower those hips. Bring those legs out long. We're going to take a bend into the right knee. Bring it in towards the chest. We're going to take the right foot to the outside of the left leg. You can keep your left leg here, or you can bend into the left knee and bring the left heel to the outside of the right hip. You might need to pop up on the left hip in order to get it there. Wrapping the left arm around the right thigh and bringing our right fingertips behind us, taking a twist. Maybe gazing over this right shoulder if it feels okay for your neck. I'm not twisting very deeply today. Drawing that belly in towards the spine. Maybe you can twist a little bit deeper. And then releasing from here, bringing the legs out long, we'll go straight to the opposite side. So bending into the left knee comes in towards the chest, left foot to the outside of the right thigh. Stay here if you want to, or bend into the right knee, take the right heel to the outside of the left hip. You might want to pop up on the right hip in order to swing yourselves around. Bring your right hand around, touching up the left thigh, left fingertips just behind us. Inhaling to lift, exhaling to twist. Maybe taking your gaze over this left shoulder. Just working with what feels good in your body, so I'm not twisting very deep today. And then we'll release from here. And we'll come into our seated position that we started in. So you might be sitting on your heels, or you can sit cross-legged. And resting your hands on your knees or in your lap. Letting the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Maybe closing the eyes, just lowering your gaze. And just taking this moment here after your practice to have a quick scan through the body, checking how it's feeling. And noticing if you feel any different to how you felt at the start of your practice. And then bringing our palms together in prayer position at heart center. We'll bow our forehead to our fingertips. Give yourselves a thank you for getting on the mat today, and thank you for joining me. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.